Do you think John Lynch is on the hot seat right now?
Yes, absolutely.
What? Explain this.
Okay, anytime you miss at the top of the draft with your first 2 picks, you should be on the hot seat. Because
you're talking what?
I'm talking back in 2017 when they reached for Solomon Thomas instead of going after Jamal Adams like I told them to. And then
literally anyone. Christian McCaffrey, Marshawn Lattimore, the 2 quarterbacks who were pretty good. I mean, they could have taken a name out of a hat. Keep going.
Right. And then Alvin Kamara, I put out my Twitter yesterday. I said, pick him at 34. What do they do? Trade up for Reuben Foster. Okay, cool. And what saved him in that 2017 draft class was who? Kittle. Who saved him in that 2018 draft or 2017 draft class? Kittle. George Kittle and DJ Jones, the hidden gems. So then you roll it back the following year, and then they reach for who? Right tackle Mike McGlinchey, and who they reach for again? Dante Pettis. How are those guys doing in your first 2 picks in consecutive years? So now you have 4 picks.
That's 4, yeah.
Right, 4 picks, and it's like, okay, they really haven't panned out, bro. And then 2019 they did good.
It looked good until he tore his ACL. It looks bad that Brian Burns is such a freaking stud, and everyone kind of knew it. Yep, that's rough.
2019 was good. I mean, I give him a grade A for that. But I mean, then he reverts back in 2020, reaching for Javon Kinlaw instead of taking, like I said, Tristan Wirfs.
The problem with 2019 is that's their best draft, and the top 2 picks, Bosa and Debo, missed a lot of games already. That's the problem. Their best picks have injury issues.
Yeah. So you take that all into,
in my opinion, it was a miss unless he becomes something he's not right now, which is a pass rusher. That's the word.
Right. Exactly. Yep. But to John Lynch's credit, he did get some free agent signings, right? He brought in Kyle Juszczyk, but then he also signed guys D Ford. I don't know about the D Ford one. I mean, yeah, he got him to the Super Bowl. Emmanuel Sanders making some trades. Got Kayvon Williams. Elvis Dumerville was a great pickup.
I wasn't putting D Ford in the good category.
Veteran present. Yeah. So, I mean, he does do well with that and picking up undrafted rookie free agents like, Nick Mullins, Matt Breida, Kendrick Bourne, guys like these. So he does a really good job. However, anytime you trade DeForest Buckner, you should be on the hot seat right away. And the reason I say that is because it had a Buckner domino effect, as I like to call it. And when you have a Buckner domino effect, you can see why I gave him a D grade for 2020. You just look at it, right? In the 2020 class, like it was just really, really bad, like what he did, right? So he picked up Kerry Hyder Jr., right? Great 1-year pickup in a contract year guy, right? But is he going to return? We don't know. And then you look at the trades that he made, right?
Jason Barrett, great guy. Is he going to return? We don't know. Trent Williams is going to return? We don't know.
Exactly. We don't know. Yeah. And then you look at the draft. Yeah, they should have took Tristan Wirfs. They did get Brandon Ayuk, which I said they didn't have to trade up for him.
Way too much money to Eric Armstead.
And there you go. So it's like the domino effect of
drafting Javon Kinlaw instead of Tristan Wirfs.
That.
Hold on. And we didn't mention the biggest one.
Right. And then you take it a step further, right? Look at all the bad free agent signings with defensive front 7 players. I would say D Ford's a bad signing. I would say Eric Armstead's a bad signing. I would say Quan Alexander's a bad signing. I would say Malcolm Smith's a bad signing.
Right. Hold on. But we still haven't mentioned the biggest mistake he made. Not signing Tom Brady. Are you kidding? He gave away a Super Bowl. Tom Brady was like, yo, let me get my 7th Lombardi here. I'll get my 7th. You'll get your 6th. We'll all be happy. I'll be able to see my parents in San Mateo. We'll just be, nope, we like Jimmy G more than you. That to me, it's like, look, from Jed York's perspective, I'm Jed York right now. I forgave you for passing on Patrick Mahomes. All right. I forgave you for passing on Deshaun Watson. I let that slide. And then when Tom Brady came to you and said, I want to play for you, you don't even have to draft me. You passed on him. I can't let that slide. That's 3 strikes and you're out. And what I want to say to you is all the points you make, I agree with. The question I have is, why do you put this on Lynch? Just because he's the general manager and title?
Yes. Because at the end of the day, he's the one that ultimately can say yes or no. And I know he works with Kyle Shanahan, and Kyle Shanahan has a strong or just as much, if not more of an input. But at the end of the day, GM John Lynch is the general manager.
Right. I agree. I just feel like even though he has the title, I think Kyle Shanahan has the last say on everything. And that John Lynch is really more there to explain Kyle Shanahan's decisions to the public than to make decisions. So here's the thing. If they fire John Lynch, which is possible, I mean, they're going to scapegoat someone, and it won't be Kyle.
It won't be Kyle.
It won't be Kyle. So what you're saying is John Lynch on the hot seat? I think he might be for the reasons you pointed out, because someone's going to have to take the fall if they have another losing season. It's not going to be Kyle. All I'm saying is, if that's what happens, I believe it's a scapegoat move that it won't fix anything. And all it'll do is give the person making the decisions, Kyle, even more power. So the bad decisions, I think, will actually increase because you're not taking the problem away. I don't think the problem is John Lynch. I think the problem is Kyle and his father, Mike. They're the one making the executive decisions. But look, that's not the question here. The question is, John Lynch, is he on the hot seat? And I think you're probably right. John, if you're watching, be careful. They're circling around your job. They just promoted your assistant, Adam Peters, to assistant GM. That's scary. So, yeah, it seems like you're one more bad season away from getting scapegoated. Good luck. I'm just saying, Jed, if you're watching, don't fall for it. It's not John's fault. It's Kyle's fault. It's Mike Shanahan's fault. John Lynch is there to explain their stuff. Unless I'm wrong, unless you can show me that it was John Lynch who was like, no, we're taking Solomon Thomas. No, we're taking Mike McGlinchey. I don't see it. I just don't. But you're right. He's the general manager, man.
He's the general manager.
If you don't want someone else's decisions to get passed off on you, quit and go back to being a media guy.
Right.
Because that's what they're doing. They're passing off the Shanahan's decisions onto him. And they get to take credit for the good ones. Peters gets credit for the good ones. And all the bad ones, it's like, well, John Lynch didn't have any experience. What do you expect?
It's just tough because I did give him passing grades, like really good grades. Like he got a B+ his first year. I gave him a B his second year and a B his third year. But, the Buckner effect, I just gave him a D, not simply just because of that move, but look at the domino effect of compounding that move by reaching for need, taking Kinlaw instead of taking Tristan Wirfs, and then hitting the panic button. So then you have to mortgage your future by giving up a 5th and 3rd round pick for a 1-year rental in Trent Williams, which you already did 1 year prior, getting a half-year rental in Emmanuel Sanders. So now you lose a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round draft pick. Then you have no choice but to trade back one spot, let Tristan Wirfs go off the board because you need to recoup draft capital from the Emmanuel Sanders deal. It's a domino effect.
It is a domino effect. And it all started because they traded up for Dante Pettis. Multiple picks to move up for Pettis. It didn't work out. Now to fix that problem, you trade multiple picks for Emmanuel Sanders. You don't keep him. Now to replace him, you trade multiple picks for Brandon Ayuk. And you end up spending 7 assets to fix a problem you created by trading it for Dante Pettis. Look, when you break down John Lynch's resume, whether it's all him or not, it's got his name on it. It's not good. And I really like John Lynch. He's given me a one-on-one on Periscope.
I like him.
Guy. My dad knows him. I would never want to run him out of town because honestly, he's, I think, what makes the Niners organization fun to work. Like, I like being there now. When Balky was there, I always felt like they were trying to pull my credential. John Lynch, I don't think he would let that happen. I actually think he's a good guy, and I don't want to run him out of town. I like John Lynch, and if they do scapegoat him, I'll feel bad because I don't think he's making these decisions. But I see what you're saying, man. And John, from a self-preservation standpoint, you got to listen to Ryan because he's right. And you got to understand where you stand. I'm sure he already knows. That's the problem. I'm sure he already knows. And the fact that he doesn't tweet anymore, hardly. He used to be Mr. Niner on Twitter. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He was gone. And I think his attitude is, you know what? I'm not promoting you guys anymore. I'm in the Hall of Fame. You guys don't want me here. I'm going to collect a few more checks because, Jed, you're not getting off that easy. You're going to pay me 5, 10, maybe 15 million more dollars, and then I'll leave. All right? That's how I would. That's my attitude. It would be my attitude if I was him.
Yeah, and it is sad, like you said. Like, I do like John Lynch too. I mean, we both know him personally, but at the end of the day, there has to be a scapegoat. And ultimately, if it's going to come down to it, Grant, when you look at it from a value standpoint, Kyle Shanahan still calls the play on the offense side of the football. He's not going anywhere.
And I think it's pretty clear that the organization values Adam Peters over Lynch.
You think so? I
do, because the way I look at it is, I think they felt John Lynch was like a necessary evil. I'm saying they, as in Mike and Kyle.
Right.
If it was their attitude, if it was up to them, Kyle would have gotten the head coach job and the general manager job at 37. Mm-hmm. That's what Mike eventually got in Denver. Full autonomy. He was the original Bill Belichick, right? Full autonomy, and that's what the Shanahans want. And he couldn't get that in 2017 because he was 37, and it would have looked bad, I think, for Jed York to just turn the team over. So they had these figureheads in place. Like, he didn't remember they had a search for general managers, guys who were like respected number 2 dudes at good organizations, and Kyle didn't like any of them. Why? Because they want input. He picked a broadcaster. Why? Because he didn't have any input. He basically hired Lynch. And I think he's like, well, now I'm 41. I've been to another Super Bowl. I got the 6-year extension. You got a 5-year extension. I don't need you anymore. I don't. You bring nothing to the table. Adam Peters is more helpful. I mean, people trust me in the Bay Area. Let me just be the general manager now. I think there's something to that, which is too bad.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, we're going deep conspiracy theory here. But as soon as the Niners gave Kyle a longer extension than John, that was all you needed to know. That shifted the power dynamic.